Tell me, O Muse, of that ingenious hero who traveled far and wide after he had sacked the famous town of Troy. And so begins the epic poem that is the Odyssey by Homer. While not nearly as violent of an opening as Homer's other epic, the Iliad, the story is still just as good, and many would even argue better. Now this part may be seen as the sequel to the Iliad, and in many ways it is. It is not, however, a direct sequel, as the Iliad ends still in the middle of the conflict, where the Odyssey begins many years after the conflict has already ended. And it is here where we learn that the fate of Odysseus and some other Trojan war heroes, as we get to watch Odysseus' journey back home to his son and his loyal wife. Now before we begin, however, I have made an appendix of all the important characters and have a link to that video down below. And if you would like to follow along, there is a playlist in the description below where you can listen to the entire epic poem as it is being recorded. And if you would like a physical copy, you can purchase the Iliad and the Odyssey in a leather-bound edition using the Amazon affiliate link in the description below. But without further ado, and no more stalling for time, we begin with the epic that is the Odyssey by Homer. The gods are in council. Athena's visit to Ithaca and the challenge from Telemachus rings out to the suitors. At the top of Mount Olympus, Zeus consults with his favored child, Athena, about whether or not she and Hermes should get involved in fixing Odysseus' life, as he is currently stranded with his home under threat. It is good to know that despite everything that has happened to Odysseus, the gods are still watching out for him, and by extension, the reader understands this as well. It is only after a long discussion that it is finally decided that Poseidon cannot stand up to all of the deathless gods should they work together. Thus, Athena and Hermes get involved in helping Odysseus come home and counsel his family. And so we ring over to Ithaca, where back in Odysseus's home, his wife Penelope is besought after by hundreds of suitors looking to take her hand in marriage, as it has been 8 years since the war in Troy had ended, and Odysseus is thought to be dead, lost to the sea. Penelope still holds out hope, however. It is fading and fading fast. Her love for Odysseus is keeping her from choosing a suitor and waiting for her husband's return. She does this despite the fact that 108 suitors have been courting her for the past couple of years, day in and day out, eating her and her son Telemachus out of house and home. The suitors do not come alone either, as they bring with them servants that take up residence within their halls. To make matters worse for her, the servants have turncoats in their midst that betray her secrets and even fornicate among the suitors themselves. Believing Odysseus to be dead, another of the great heroes lost to the seas, they see Penelope as royalty and widowed, ripe for the plucking. They all decide to wait around until she chooses a husband, as customs of Greek hospitality prevent Penelope from evicting them without losing faith. And here, Telemachus, Odysseus' son, who has not laid eyes upon his father since he was an infant in his arms before the start of the Trojan War, has now aged to about 18 years of age. He is met by Pallas Athena in disguise as she rouses courage into his heart and oversees him confronting the suitors, telling them that they are all unwelcome in his house, that it is time to leave, and that they should all be ashamed of what they are doing. This is the start of Telemachus' coming-of-age story in this epic poem, as it is much his story as it is his father's, taking a stand to throw those forward against the suitors, to get them out of his house, find his father to bring him back home, returning and reuniting both his family and his kingdom. Now Penelope is unaware of her son's growing courage as she silently weeps at the loom, weaving a death shroud for Odysseus' aging and withering father Laertes. Her hope is slowly dwindling away for the homecoming of her husband Odysseus, and for justice to be restored, she wants nothing more than a return to their past. Despite working on the shroud during the day, she spends her nights unweaving it in a clever attempt to stave off her promise to choose a husband once it is finished, as it is impossible to finish the work if it is dismantled every night. This also has a side effect of keeping her hope alive in the suitors' hearts that she will choose a husband among them. And with that, the Odyssey Book 1 comes to a close. And if you've enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to leave a like and leave a comment on what I can do to improve. I look forward to seeing you all next time. Take care, everyone.